players.
Yep, huge accomplishment here. They have grinded through 2 days of competition to make it to this point into our top 8. Over here on the left, we have Kamal. And you see right here, 2017 Daytona Regional Top 32.
I think he might be selling himself a bit short. I thought he had a few more day 2s and whatnot, but
yeah, I feel like we've seen Kamal a lot this season.
Piloting that Roaring Moon deck, which has been quite popular as of late, has been the talk of the town, if you will.
All right, and over here on the right side, we have Aidan Khus as well. Lots of accomplishments here. Toronto Regional Top 32, EUIC Top 8 in 2023, Charlotte Regional Champion, and NAIC Top 16. So Aidan Khus, a very accomplished player, going to be piloting a Lost Box variant, I suppose we could say. I think Azul was just in an interview talking about how Aidan is now in top cut with a kind of a similar deck as Azul was piloting. So
yeah, pretty similar list, almost identical. So we're in for a Kyogre, we're in for a potential Mawile trap as well. So we're about to see the prize cards, 2 Darkness Energies for Kamal. A lot of variety for Aidan, nothing too crucial. Perhaps that Super Rod at the very top. If you're planning a big Kyogre play, you need to get back a lot of resources. So not having access to that Super Rod could be a little problematic towards the end of this game, but we'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to see how these flower selectings go.
All right, we have the fist bump. Things are underway here in our Masters Top 8. Kamal, Crooks, Valdez versus Aidan Khus. How's it going to play out? We'll have to wait and see. Aidan is starting things off here on the right side of our player field with a flower selecting. Very familiar here, but it's between a Comfey and a Colress's Experiment straight off the bat.
Yeah, usually this would be a fairly straightforward decision. The issue is Aidan's hand's just not really great. Does have the Pidgeot V as backup and not much else. So, of course, you'd like to grab the Colress Experiment for later, but you know you're up against an extremely aggressive deck, and I don't think you can afford to lose 2 prizes immediately on the Pidgeot V or to lose your single Comfey.
Yeah, that is tough indeed. And the Colress's Experiment is going to be the one going to the Lost Zone, something we do not see very often, which really emphasizes that there, along with a Mirage Gate as well for the second card in the Lost Zone here.
Yeah, we did see one of the Colress being prized as well, so Aidan now has a total of 2 Colresses left in their deck without having played a single one. That's never a great start when you're a Lost Box player. And Aidan also doesn't know that until he checks his prizes, which now he can't because the Hisuian Heavy Ball is now in the prize card. So very tough choices right off the bat, and this is one of the potential issues when you choose to play Lost Box.
Wow, why are we always casting such clunky hands, Pablo? This is wild. Hisuian Heavy Ball joining the Lost Zone here, which, like you said, Aidan's not going to get a glance at those prize cards now. Kamal kicking off this first turn here with the Trekking Shoes, discarding that Dark Energy here for the next card.
Yeah, you definitely benefit from having energies in your discard pile, so not a big deal. We're going to see back-to-back Trekking Shoes. This might actually be Ross Cawthon's exact 60 cards, if I'm not mistaken. There's no Pokemon catchers this time around that I can see, so no exciting conflips, unfortunately, Boo.
Oh, bummer. But hey, the Trekking Shoes, they're trekking here. Ultra Ball going to the discard pile for a Pokestop off that next card here for Kamal. So when we were discussing this matchup, Pablo, we were kind of talking about how Kamal really needs to be fast and aggressive and just overbear Aidan in this point in time. And honestly, Aidan has had, again, kind of like an awkward start. So there is potential for that. What do you think we need to see from Kamal here on this opening turn?
So ideally, you would love to start getting prizes from the very first turn, whether it's with a Roaring Moon or a much easier, more Peko KO on that 70 HP Comfey. That would be something that Kamal would love to do. However, as you mentioned, Aidan did have that sloppy-ish start, but if you're on the other side of the table and you don't know what Aidan is holding in their hand, you see a Colress hit the Lost Zone, usually you assume they're already holding one. That's why they could afford getting rid of one. That's not the case here, but Kamal doesn't necessarily have that information yet that Aidan is off to a clunky start, so we'll have to see how it plays out. But Kamal, definitely ideal setup right now is the Morpeko. However, we've been talking about the possibility to trap with Mowell and how likely that is in this matchup, right? So if Kamal wants to be aggressive here, he would have to utilize either a switch card or an escape rope, and that's one less switching card. And the one Pokemon that Aidan can trap is the Radiant Greninja.
Yes. Yep, which is in play in the active position right now. Pokestop gonna roll, discard 3 cards there, including that Morpeko there, Pablo.
Yep.
Wow, that is unlucky here. We're gonna see a concealed cards now off this Radiant Greninja, but sheesh. You play so many items, you would have loved to see those.
Yeah, we're here praising Morpeko, and then we're definitely not
gone.
saying Morpeko this game for sure. Now, double Dark Patch will be happening, plus attachment, so Kamal now 1 energy away from being able to start applying that pressure, and it's fine. Yeah, you would have preferred to do it with Morpeko. It's fine to do it with Roaring Moon. The important thing is to just make sure you are applying pressure, taking a price each turn, because you're definitely playing against a sort of clock towards that Kyogre.
Absolutely. Yeah, Aidan has a lot to go to set up toward that Kyogre if that's the play Aidan chooses to go. Professor's Research going to bring 7 new cards here to Kamal's hand. Honestly, the hands, they've been flying. It's easy to forget. This is still first turn here for Kamal, going second in this match. So Battle VIP Pass is currently in play, and Kamal just drew into 2 of them.
Yeah, the whole Battle VIP Pass found pretty much the dream, right?
Yep.
Can't complain about that. And I don't think we're going to see a stretch for Squawk and Seas this turn. I don't think Kamal's really missing anything at this point. Even has Energy Switch to potentially transfer an energy to the active Radiant Greninja through Galarian Moltres V and be able to retreat that way, saving both the Switch card and the Escape Rope.
Yep, and this is what we've been seeing pretty much all weekends from our Roaring Moon players that we've gotten to feature. Just fast pace, a lot of things happening every turn, and just that pure aggression can just dominate in these matchups. And if it's just too much for your opponent to stand up to, then you can take some wins pretty quickly in some of these games.
Yeah, certainly, and we're definitely in for an interesting game here. Now, the Battle VIP Pass obviously sets Kamal up very nicely, has the 3 Pokemon that can attack, apply pressure, take prizes. However, it definitely lends itself to a situation where now their targets for Kyogre are there, right? So even though Aidan got a clunky start, even though he might even struggle to be able to utilize Colress at any point, he needs to find 1 KO on a Roaring Moon, and then he needs to find the Kyogre play. And he definitely has potentially 6 turns to do so, as long as he doesn't bench 2 prize Pokemon, which he only plays 2 of. So Aidan under pressure, but still has quite a few turns to be able to try to play and piece out this 2 prize into Kyogre.
And look at that. A lot of things just happened there, Pablo. We saw the Dire Flame wings from the Galarian Moltres, the energy switch there, the retreat out of the Radiant Greninja into the Roaring Moon. We saw the Dark Patch as well to attach that Roaring Moon EX on the bench, and the Calamity Storm knockout, getting rid of that Pokestop that was in play. Aidan's not going to be able to utilize that. And first prize card down here for Kamal. Aidan gonna have to respond quickly here. Let's see what we're working with so far. 4 cards in the Lost Zone as of now off that Flower Selecting.
And found a Colress of that Flower Selecting. Very, very nice when there's only 2 left in the deck. So that Iono actually got Aidan closer to the Colress. We'll be getting 6 cards into the Lost Zone, and we can start being a little aggressive with Cramorant, or potentially, if Aidan has the right combination, could switch into a Comfey, get to 7, and take a return KO with Dragonite V. That would be really impressive to see here.
Yeah, that would be wild indeed. Well, Lost Zone is up to 6 now. Battle VIP Pass and that Lightning Energy joining the fray. Switch cart going to the discard pile here to fire off the second Flower Selecting for Aidan, and Radiant Greninja going to join the Lost Zone here in favor of Water Energy.
Yep, Water Energy, and has the Dragonite, and has the Mirage Gate. So as long as there's a Lightning and a Water still left in the deck, Aidan will be able to take this KO. So coming off of a potentially clunky start into, now you're ahead in the prize cards, and you have a bunch of turns to play to piece out the Kyogre play.
Yeah, I mean, we were discussing how incredible this Dragonite is in this matchup, potentially, if you can utilize it. And that's exactly what Aidan is doing here, responding after that first KO with the Dragonite V.
Now, this is an issue for Kamal because the Dragon Gale will take a knockout on Roaring Moon, and Roaring Moon's Calamity Storm does 220 damage, and Dragonite V coincidentally has 230 HP. So that 10 damage means if Kamal wants to respond here, we'll have to utilize Frenzied Gouging and putting yourself at 30 HP left when there's something like Sableye or Cramorant that can easily revenge KO. That is going to be a very rough situation to be in. So maybe we won't even need to see the Kyogre play here.
Yeah, that is very true. Aidan knowing the ins and outs of these decks, and the cracks are starting to show here for the Roaring Moon player, Kamal. The weaknesses, the liabilities in your deck, and let's just see if Aidan can capitalize on that in this match. We're seeing the Mirage Gate here. Now that our Lost Zone is up to 7 cards, we're going to see that Lightning Energy and the Psychic Energy come out onto those Comfey on the field. Yeah,
preemptively setting up both Comfey, or one Comfey to retreat, giving itself the retreat this turn, not needing a switch card or anything else. Still has the Force Seal Stone, still has the Pidgeot, getting very close to Sableye. So turns out maybe just one Colress is enough to get you to where you need to be.
Here we go, Dragonite V coming into the active position here after that retreat.
Yep, Dragon Gale for knockout.
Dragon Gale, huge knockout on that Roaring Moon EX. Gonna take 2 prize cards for that knockout. Unfortunately, not the Colress's Experiment, but also those 2 damage counters placed on the bench as well there for Aidan. Now it's up to Kamal, as you're talking about, Pablo, kind of put in an awkward position here. We're gonna have to see what Kamal chooses to do, how he responds to this board state now. Aggression on both sides of the field, but Kamal's kind of in an awkward spot. Town Store gonna come down here.
Yeah, Town Store could give a little bit of extra HP to that Roaring Moon after it uses Frenzied Gouging if we see the Ancient Booster Energy Capsule or the Emergency Jelly. I think the Emergency Jelly would be the preferred option because that puts you out of range of getting Revenge KO'd by Cramorant, puts you out of range of getting Revenge KO'd by Sableye, as you do heal 128 damage. Therefore, Roaring Moon will have 150 HP left. So that's the ideal setup for Kamal. And the question is, can you pull it off? Because it seems like right now he's struggling to power up the Roaring Moon and will need to dedicate the Force Seal Stone to the Moltres in order to try and power up this Roaring Moon.
Yup, that Moltres, the only target there for that Force Seal Stone. We're going to see that Ancient Booster, though, come out onto the Roaring Moon EX on the bench, as well as a judge here from Kamal. Both of our players going to shuffle up their decks, draw into 4 cards.
Yeah, 4 cards is not a lot, Boo. It's not a lot. Kamal needs to find either Energy Switch or a Darkness, can then go find the other one with his V-Star power, whatever missing piece. So very well sequenced, but finding also the Emergency Jelly, that's going to be the key difficult card to find here. What does he find?
What do we see? I didn't get to see the cards, Pablo. No. Yeah, I mean, Judge Disruption, always amazing against these Lost Box decks, but not if it's hindering your hand as well. Judge is just tough to work off of. Only 4 cards get drawn into. What do we see in the hands, Pablo?
We see Mew EX, Squawkabilly EX, and Switch Card and Professor Sada. So we're going to have to rely on a restart for 1 to see an Energy or an Energy Switch, or perhaps for 2, benching that completely useless Squawkabilly.
Squawkabilly just clogging up the bench here for an extra draw of this card here for Kamal. Let's see what it is.
I could not see.
I know, keeping the card so close to the chest here, but nothing being played instantly. We do have the Dire Flame Wings ability.
Okay, did get an Energy, so can Force Seal Stone for an Energy Switch to be able to get this KO. But once again, that Frenzied Gouging really leaves the Roaring Moon super, super vulnerable. And even a Comfey with Spin Attack could actually knock out this Roaring Moon. That's not off the table here.
If we saw that, Pablo, oh my gosh, that would be wild.
I mean, unless Aidan has a Colress Experiment, getting to 10 is not exactly straightforward. So I honestly, just finding a Psychic, just finding a Psychic seems easier than getting to 10 cards in the Lost One right now.
Spinning Attack. Who knew we'd be seeing that in our top 8, but the potential is definitely there. Kamal gonna take all of that damage damage on the Roaring Moon EX. Scary to be looking at, especially in a top 8 match here. But we're back over to Aidan's side of the field now, that Comfey in the active spot. And we're going to kick off this turn with another Colress's experiment.
Yeah, has a Colress. Kind of wish we had seen the energy recycler to just put back psychic energies into the deck. As long as you find one, right,
Yeah.
you get to 9, then Flower Select, get to 10, and then you can either attack with Comfey or just use Sableye. But it might be a little tricky to just find this KO, unless there's a Cramorant available. Off of this Nest Ball, then it's pretty straightforward. Seems like it's going to be the Pidgeot, though. Oh, and can find the Forest Seal Stone with the Town Store. That's really, really good.
Oh, yeah, true. The Town Store's in play. That's the stadium. We're shopping here today for a little Forest Seal Stone action on that Pidgeot V. That's huge, Pablo.
Yep, allows Aidan to be able to go find any card he wants after he uses his Flower Select, whatever piece you're missing. After you've seen all these cards, then you go ahead and find it. And I'm going to guess it's a Psychic Energy for this Sableye, and then you get to spread damage, take this KO. You have 9 damage counters left over, 2 prizes left, and there's 2 very low HP and easy to KO targets in Mew EX or Squawkabilly EX with no way for Kamal to get rid of.
Yeah, honestly, this performance right now here from Aidan is just dominating in this match right now. And really flawlessly, so fluidly with these cards. Aidan just doing exactly what needs to happen every single turn. And Kamal not able to apply the pressure because Aidan is just one step ahead every counter turn that we see. Sableye getting that psychic energy.
Yep. We're going to see the Lost Mine to be able to knock out this Roaring Moon EX quite easily. Yeah, now we see the Vanishing Wings, making sure that there's no 2-prize liability in play, making sure that Kamal cannot get to 1 prize card if they went after it somehow, but feels like the writing's on the table. As long as Aidan can recuperate this Sableye, then the game will probably go in Aidan's favor.
Yeah, and the hand is pretty solid as far as size goes for Aidan as well. So things are looking pretty good here. We're just spreading this damage now, these damage counters with the Lost Mine.
3 there, and then I'm assuming all 9 over here.
Oh,
maybe not
looks
all
like
9.
almost.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I think.
I would imagine 3 and 9, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. That does leave Squawkabilly with 70 HP left and easily sniped. Now, there's only 1 copy of Sableye in these newer Lost Box decks, as the threat of Jirachi definitely took away power from Sableye. So it will be on Aidan to super out it back into the deck, find it again, and power it up, which is easier said than done, of course, especially with a super rod at the very top of the prize cards for Aidan.
Yep, will we be able to see it happen? It's all gonna come together hopefully on the next turn here for Aidan, but the pressure is on here so far in this match. I feel like we're barely in it too.
Yeah,
like this has gone so quick here.
Yeah, I think this is only Kamal's 3rd turn, and we're already 1 turn away from the game ending, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. That is pretty wild to see. Kamal kind of taking things easy here, making sure all the sequencing is correct.
We do see the Emergency Jelly still in the deck. That's the card that Kamal would have loved to find. And I'm wondering if maybe playing the Town Store and then playing the Judge was better. That way, if you find Forest Seal Stone, you can grab Emergency Jelly. If you find Emergency Jelly, you can grab Forest Seal Stone, right? You needed an energy or an energy switch either way, right? But just give yourself a little bit more versatility and wiggle room.
Well, there we see the Professor Sada's Vitality from Kamal as well to get that energy onto the Roaring Moon EX.
Yeah, it seems like it might even be a little difficult for Kamal to piece out an attack here. Is missing that energy switch to transfer the energy from Moltres onto Roaring Moon. Will be able to find an extra attachment with this Earthen Vessel, thin the deck a little bit, but is there even an energy switch or a Dark Patch? I think there's 1 Dark Patch left, so I think we're going to see a very exciting Pokestop here, Boo.
Oh, I'm ready for it, Pablo. Love the exciting matches here in our top cut games, and these players are performing so far. I'm loving it.
I don't know if there is an energy switch or not. Couldn't tell,
Uh-oh.
but there's a Pokestop. We need to see Dark Patch or energy switch, and there it is.
Whew.
There's the energy switch, just barely.
Yep, boss's orders going to the discard pile, but finding that energy switch and a nice little trekking shoes as well. We're going for a walk here. Ultra Ball hitting the discard pile.
Oof.
Oh no, for a battle.
For a battle VIP pass.
And now we see this Dire Flame Wings ability as well off this Galarian Moltres.
Yep. Now, usually
That's
in
what
this
we need.
situation, as Roaring Moon or as any deck really against Lost Box, you want to combine this KO with an Iono, right? Take away your opponent's huge hand. But these Roaring Moon decks are not known for their disruption. They're known for their speed, their aggression, and they just can't afford to fit a disruption package as well. And Aidan loses the Sableye, but has an almost 8-card hand to play with and can maybe even piece out the Kyogre here, can maybe recover the Dragonite, can maybe recover the Sableye. Has a lot of ways to potentially close out the game, and he doesn't even need to do it this turn. He still has one more turn as long as he doesn't prize a 2-prize Pokemon.
Yeah, maybe it would have been a little bit different if the energy requirement on Roaring Moon was different, but it's 3 energy that you need there. And that's why we had to see that Professor Sada, as well as the Earthen Vessel, as well as the Dire Flame Wings and the energy switch to just prep your Pokemon for this. And now, Aidan has that huge hand, even though we did see a Judge earlier, but Aidan is well past that now and lots of options in the hand here. Could this be it, Pablo? Are we going to get there?
I mean, maybe. It seems like Aidan's going to go for a defensive Roxanne instead of trying to go for a Colruyt that he was holding. So we might see a more passive turn from Aidan here, just trying to dig through the deck, either establish the Kyogre play by thinning resources or just able to dig for those Super Rods, right? I don't think we see any Super Rod in the Lost Zone. I don't recall seeing a Super Rod in the discard pile either. And there are 3 copies, one of which is prized. So Aidan might be just trying to refresh the hand, take away resources from Kamal, and try to establish one of those 2 plays, the Dragonite or the Sableye.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of leeway here for Aidan as well, potentially. We'll have to see how things play out, but we're going to see the attachment to that Comfey. Just a hard retreat into another flower selecting here from Aidan.
Yep, no Super Rod found, I don't think. And even though Aidan has a decent number of good cards, it's just not quite what you want. And, ooh, that switch card feels important potentially for next turn. I wonder what the other card was. We're going to see the Banishing Wings, make sure there's no 2-price target for Kamal to take advantage of. And I think we're going to see a pass from Aidan here.
Wow. Bird flies in, bird flies out. Aidan advances the hands a little bit. But yeah, that could be it.
Yeah, can't even thin. Oh no, can thin the Lost Vacuum, getting rid of the Battle VIP pass as well. But no, just a pass.
Pass over to Kamal now, who still has that Roaring Moon in the active here. This is pretty close here, Pablo.
Yeah, Kamal's just gonna attack, take the knockout, and be like, "Hey, then you got it. Otherwise, I got it." There's no Pokemon Aidan can send out to stall either because of Frenzied Gouging. So,
oh my goodness!
Aidan against the ropes is counting out his energy.
Yeah.
Did find the Super Rod, however, so this will allow him to put back the Sableye and couple Psychics.
Was that the top deck?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
Now the question is, does 3 Psychics has the Nest Ball? All right. So okay. I think we are about to see a Flower Select to try to find one of these Psychic energies. It all comes down to this, Boo. If Aidan can find one of these Psychic energies, or a way to find it, whether it's Mirage Gate, whether it's Colruyt perhaps, to dig deeper into the deck, this all comes down to this big Flower Select right here.
Yeah, the Sableye joined us. What's it going to be?
Nest
Oh my gosh.
And Mirage Gate, there it is. There's the Psychic Energy and has an escape rope to be able to take down this Squawkabilly.
That was way too close there, Pablo. But Aidan Khus pulling things out off of one single flower select at the end there into the Mirage Gate. That was hectic. Imagine if it didn't play out like that, Pablo. It could have just been on the exact opposite side of the coin here. I gotta say though, we were discussing this matchup, and I didn't expect it to play out as it did.
Agreed. I mean, Kamal off to a very explosive start. Aidan's very underwhelming start, but then all of a sudden Aidan responded with that Dragon Gale with Dragonite V, putting Kamal against the ropes, but then finding just enough to be able to respond to that Dragonite, leaving himself very vulnerable to the Frenzied Gouging with the Frenzied Gouging into a Lost Mine. Aidan very smartly setting up that Squawk ability with the Lost Mine, and then off the top finding that Super Rod, and off the Flower Select finding the Mirage Gate. Now, Aidan did have the Psychics, the Mirage Gate. I believe there was a Pokestop left as well. There was a Colress left as well, and that Mirage Gate was the key card to be able to close out this game.
Yep, and that Squawk ability ended up being a complete vulnerability, unfortunately. And wasn't it benched just for a single additional draw as well?
It was benched, but like if that had not happened, then Kamal probably wouldn't have been able to knock out the Dragonite V, right?
Exactly.
So it's one of those things where you just have to, even though it could cost you, and the Mew EX was also already benched. So it could have been Mew, or it could have been Squawk. The only way to avoid that would have been to not bench either, and that was unfortunately not a possibility since Kamal's draw off the judge was just not that great.
Exactly. It all came down to those tiny decisions that you're hoping pan out for you in the end, but sometimes it just happens to go the other way, and that flower selecting happened to go Aidan's way that time around. So I'm sure feeling a lot of nerves there, but super relieved after that first game, going up 1-0 now in this game with Lost Box versus Roaring Moon. You'll have to let us know in the chat watching this match how you feel after watching that first game between our players. Is there anything you would have done differently? Is there anyone you're rooting for now? Maybe switch sides. I mean, our chat has been rooting for Roaring Moon all weekend, but Kamal here trying to show out with his Roaring Moon, and so far not able to take that first game, but it was so close there, Pablo. So I'm very excited to head into this game two between our players.
Me too. And I know chat's a big fan of Roaring Moon. They kept choosing it as our community choices. However, I think Kyogre, and like watching the Kyogre plays and watching players sequence out their whole deck to be able to pull off those big Aqua Storms, I think that's very enjoyable to watch as well. So I feel like these are two fan favorites right here. And it'll be interesting to see who chooses to go, who Kamal chooses to go, whether he chooses to go first or second, and how this game plays out. Once again, a Colress prized, the Pidgeot, which was very pivotal for Aidan to be able to utilize that for a Seal Stone, and the Iono, though. The Iono for Kamal could also be problematic or important. Yeah, it's like decently placed to where maybe he finds it at just the right time to try and deny Aidan from the resources that he needs.
Yeah, true. It all depends on when you draw these prize cards, potentially. For Aidan, I mean, that Pidgeot V is on the bottom of the prize card, so if it's chosen from bottom, maybe we could see that for some 4 Seal Stone play, potentially for Aidan down the line. But we're starting off here with Aidan going first. Battle VIP pass going to come out right away, and Aidan's assessing the deck here, making sure that all prize cards are accounted for.
Yeah, very important to be thorough with your prize checking, especially as Lost Box. Yeah, if you're choosing to play a Lost Box deck, you never want to go, oh, that energy was prized, right? As we saw on stream yesterday.
Yeah,
so
that's
you
true.
definitely have to be more thorough than with other decks. And I know I started be more serious with my note taking when I started playing Lost Box to every tournament I was going
Really?
to. Yeah. Before, I usually would just try to remember my prizes, check the important things. But when I was playing Lost Box, I knew I needed to make sure, especially the energies, because any mistake with Mirage Gate can be so costly.
Yeah, if everything was colorless, we'd be fine.
Yep.
But there are certain energy requirements that certain Pokemon do require, and that's when things can get dicey, especially if you only have so many copies of each. And you got to think about it. You're forced into some of these decisions with your flower selecting, with your choices to put into the Lost Zone. So it's even more important there. So yeah, when you say that, Pablo, it just really showcases how important every single resource is in this deck. But Aidan has been cruising with this deck so far. You know, speaking about energy going to the Lost Zone.
Speaking of being very aware, and I mean, this is super crucial. Yeah,
Yes.
I know Aidan knows exactly now at this point in time which energy he prized, which energy he has access to, and there we go. Yeah, keeps one lightning energy in favor of the Pokestop to make sure that even though it's discarded, it does have a lot of ways to recover it.
Yep.
No problem.
Absolutely. Pokestop and Lightning Energy are two cards in the Lost Zone. As we pass over now to Kamal's first turn, let's take a look at this starting hand for Kamal and see if it was as good as we saw in our last game.
I think he's holding the Forest Seal Stone, so we might just see like a straightforward grab our research, find a fresh new hand. Does have a few cards he would not like to discard, such as a Palpat, perhaps.
Yeah.
As in an ideal world, you want to like play Iona or Judge and then recycle them and continue attacking your opponent's hand, which is something like Gardevoir wants to do against pretty much every deck. This is your almost attempt at trying to do that, but it doesn't always work out.
Gotcha. Well, Kamal is going to be searching through the deck as well here to start things off. How do you think Kamal is going to make any different decisions here going into this game 2 as far as a whole of playing, Pablo?
I mean, perhaps trying to utilize more Peko if it's available.
True.
I think that was a key part from game 1 that that was missing, because Aidan was able to go 2/2/2 prize cards, right? Knock out Roaring Moon with Dragonite, knock out the next Roaring Moon with Sableye, and knock out Squawkabilly with Sableye once again. However, in an ideal world, if you're able to take that first config KO with your Morpeko, then Aidan can't just take 2 prizes for free on that Roaring Moon EX. Would have to deal with the Morpeko with something like Cramorant, then you're tied at 5/5, and that gives Kamal an extra turn to do other things and take advantage of the prize cards that way.
Yeah, I like that. Kind of switching up the play style, forcing your opponent to take different actions instead of such a linear pathway to victory. I dig that a lot. Well, the Forest Seal Stone ended up grabbing a Battle VIP pass that brought these Pokemon out onto the field. We saw the concealed cards here from the Radiant Greninja, as well as Professor Sada bringing out this energy onto the Roaring Moon. We're seeing the third attachment here with the Ancient Booster Energy Capsule. And Aidan is... one Comfey short and one Comfey now in the active, while Kamal's going to take the first prize card.
Yep, turns out Kamal had all the right pieces to be able to take that first prize card. Already didn't need Professor's research for a new hand, just had everything he needed. And now, thanks to that Ancient Energy Booster Capsule giving extra HP to Roaring Moon, even if Aidan is able to somehow piece out 7 cards in the Lost Zone into a Dragonite V, that would not be enough to get a KO here.
Yep, that extra HP is huge. It's I will say, though, it's a handful to say. Ancient Booster Energy Capsule. Woo! That's a lot.
Yeah, I would have personally called it Ancient Capsule myself.
Yeah,
but
right? Much simpler.
Sure.
We're getting boosted today here with that Roaring Moon. And this is what we needed to see from Kamal. Exactly what you said last game, Pablo. We need to see the knockout in the first turn, and Kamal has now accomplished that. So Aidan's going to have to find a way to keep up the pace as we saw in our game 1. But even in our game 1, it was so close between these players. So any slight slip up here from Aidan in this turn could really count for a lot. Lost Zone is now up to 5 cards here as we jump back into the deck with a Nest Ball.
Yeah, and the huge difference from game 1 to game 2 for Aidan is that Aidan wasn't able to get 3 Comfeys in play on turn 1, or he chose not to, right? He chose to go for the Greninja instead of a Comfey, which means he only got 2 cards in Lost on turn 1. Now that he lost a Comfey with the Colress plus the Comfey, we're at 5 in the Lost Zone instead of the 7 previous, right? So definitely a slower-ish start for Aidan. That means this Roaring Moon worth 2 prizes will be able to take 2 prizes itself as well. So you trade it evenly, you have the initiative. That's definitely what you want to be doing.
Well, we saw that Pokestop come out and be rolled here for Aidan. We're going to see a Psychic Energy go to the discard pile. That's now a Psychic, a Water, and a Lightning Energy in the discard pile here for Aidan. Cramorant joining us in the active here to spit innocently on this Roaring Moon EX. The disrespect, Pablo.
Nothing innocent about spitting onto your opponents. That's for sure.
Yes, indeed. Kamal starting off this turn now with a concealed cards. Wow. I got to say, this Radiant Greninja has carried so much weight in this deck with the card draw.
Now, this is something we were discussing earlier as well, how this Radiant Greninja carries the team, but also can be a liability because of the Mowell. One switch card has been used already. Yeah, there's one escape rope left. We don't know how much information Aidan has on Kamal's deck. You can make an educated guess based on trends, right, on how many switching cards they have available. But we could potentially see a Mowell trap somewhere down the line, especially if Kamal ends up exhausting the copy of escape rope that he has.
Absolutely, and that's what I love about Aidan's deck as well. It's a very different version of Lost Box, but it has those different outs. With the Mawile, it could just pop up out of nowhere, and then you're losing the game instantly. So that is definitely scary to see, especially if you're not aware of it ahead of time. But again, it's kind of risky for Aidan because, like you said, Pablo, you never know how many switch outs your opponent has. You can just use your best educated guess here. So Kamal now down to 4 prize cards left to take to tie things up between these players. Cramorant going down from that Roaring Moon EX. I guess it didn't take too well to get in spin on.
Yeah, and combining that KO with a Judge and getting rid of the Pokestop that Aidan had played, which otherwise Kamal would not have been able to take a KO on that Cramorant or had to find a stadium himself. So things just not going great for Aidan so far. I think he might be thinking more heavily on relying on Mawile this turn because that Greninja is definitely it's a win condition, right? And that's something really cool about these Lost Box decks is like you bench Greninja or Manaphy to try to protect from Kyogre or Radiant Greninja, fine, then I'll go trap it. Oh, you don't bench it, then you expose yourself to Radiant Greninja and Kyogre. So it's like a lose-lose situation for a lot of players as we see Aidan pass and not do anything of relevance this turn.
Ooh, that is one turn essentially missed here, giving the momentum back over to Kamal. And when you're a Roaring Moon player, that's definitely what you want to see. You can establish your bench even more, get more energy onto your field, prepare backup attackers, and just continue your grind to a finish, taking 4 more prize cards here to win. I guess the question is, how will Kamal go about that? What do you think the best route is as far as attacking sequence here for Kamal?
I mean, at this point, you just need to make sure you attack every single turn, right? We were talking about how important it is to get the attack on turn 1 against essentially a single price deck. You're going to need to attack at least 6 times, right? Sometimes more, sometimes less, but usually around 6. Therefore, you need to make sure you have your backup attackers ready. And these are essentially free turns that Kamal didn't have last time because Aidan was applying so much pressure to just get a lot of Roaring Moons ready to go, get the Galarian Moltres as well ready to go if necessary, and just make sure you can attack a total of 6 times.
Well, that Professor Sada's Vitality attaching that energy to the benched Roaring Moon EX here for Kamal. Starting off the turn, so I mean, that's what we're doing here, Pablo. We're setting up alternate attackers here on the bench, which is exactly what you're saying needs to start happening. Kamal debating whether to put down the town store to potentially search out another tool card. Does choose to play the town store. That's our stadium in play now. And Ancient, I'm not even going to try here, Pablo.
I know.
Ancient Booster Energy Capsule.
I think I always say Ancient Energy Booster Capsule, which is not correct. Yes. Ancient Booster Energy Capsule. That's going to be our homework after this regional.
Right? I'm just going to print it out and put it in front of me. Oh, well, that is going to be drawn off the town store after a couple debates here. But now the town store's gone here from Kamal, of course, from that Roaring Moon. Aidan over here on this turn started things off with the Colossus Experiment, but Kamal is now down one more prize card, only 3 left to take here. The pressure is on for Aidan. What could we possibly see here, Pablo, that could turn things around?
Yeah,
is it just too little too late?
It might be a little too late. Like, there is a copy of Lost Vacuum in Aiden's deck, so could remove this Ancient Capsule and utilize Dragonite to take the KO. That was very smartly done by Kamal, retreating the damaged Roaring Moon to not give Aidan any sort of chance at being able to take more than or any prize cards, really. So it's on Aidan to really make something happen here. If Kamal goes down to 2 prizes before Aidan has taken a single one, it's like Kyogre only gets you so far, right? You need to take those first 2 prizes to then play into the Kyogre, which Kamal is also sort of playing around by not having a lot of bench Pokemon this time around.
Yeah, I absolutely agree there, Pablo. Luckily, the cards kind of fell a little differently for Kamal there, where there weren't a ton of clunky turns. It kind of panned out pretty well here, but Aidan gonna choose to bring out this Kyogre now with the Nest Ball.
Yeah, so threatening the Kyogre, which I don't think we're gonna see anytime soon.
I mean, that deck's pretty full. Oh, yeah. Oh, looks like debating. Yeah, debating putting it down, but I mean, at this point, I don't think we've seen it once. Like, I don't even think it's been discarded or lost zone.
No,
so
not at
the
all.
knowledge technically could not even be there as far as Kamal not knowing the Mawile is in the deck.
And another pass here. So
my gosh.
That knowledge aspect that you were mentioning was very important, because this is something I like to tell the people that I talk to or coach. It's out of sight, out of mind. Right? Until your opponent doesn't see that card, they might not even be considering it at all. Yeah, especially in such a high-stakes match. The more you conceal that information, and the more you have the surprise factor go in your favor, the more likely, the more effective it is likely to be. Therefore, not playing that on Mawile could be very crucial if Aidan wants to have any sort of chance in trapping this Radiant Greninja. And Kamal does have the escape rope in his hand, but perhaps Aidan could, after the Mawile gets KO'd, or even if the Mawile gets KO'd, if it gets escape rope back and not KO'd, if Aidan can go back and trap the Greninja, that could be a problem. So that escape rope, it all lingers in this escape rope.
Absolutely. Yeah, and exactly. Kamal might not even know that at this point in time.
For sure. We know that, right? Because we have the list. We're chilling with this top view, but they don't necessarily know that. And I think this is also important. Like, Kamal is leaving this Roaring Moon very vulnerable to get potentially promoted, right? Without the Mawile, and then Kamal will be forced to use the escape rope to retreat, and that's when the Mawile happens.
Absolutely, but I mean, the clock is ticking down at this point. Kamal, 2 prize cards left to take. Aidan now using an energy recycler to get all of these energy back into the deck here. Mawile has come down here on Aidan's side of the field. Mirage Gate as well, putting down these energy onto the field for Aidan. So, hey, Mawile's out of the bag here, Pablo.
Mawile is no longer a surprise. It's now looking to tempting trap something in the active, but it has to be the Greninja, right? The question is, can Aidan bring that Greninja to the active twice? Yeah,
you want something that's not going to attack you. You're stuck in the active position because you cannot retreat, you cannot attack. You're stuck, but Kamal does have that escape rope, which we already knew in hand.
Now, the Mawile is now safe on the bench, right? Can Kamal combine this escape rope with a boss's orders? Otherwise, if Kamal is not able to do that, Aidan will be able to try to find the counter catcher and trap the Greninja once again, and I think that would be game.
Well, trekking shoes.
No boss. Oh, there's the boss. There's the boss. There's the boss. All right. There's the knockout. So now Aidan has 1 turn to recover the Mawile, find counter catcher. Oh, top deck. Super odd. And just immediately scoop. So played to his win condition of trapping with Mawile, but was not able to do so now. Does this give Kamal information to where he will adjust his play for game 3? I don't know, but if he didn't know before, now he does.
Oh my gosh, Pablo. My hands are sweaty. My heart's pumping, maybe too many energy drinks, but Kamal, Crooks, Valdez is going to take that game here in our game 2 between these players. And that was almost as intense as our game 1.
Yeah, very intense, very fast-paced as well.
Yeah.
Very back and forth. Even though it's a single price deck, these games went flying by.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm loving the pace from both of our players, but there were so many passive turns from Aidan, trying to focus on potentially getting maybe that Mawile toward the end there, but as soon as Kamal played that escape rope, bossed up the Mawile again, the cards were just stacked against Aidan's favor, and that brings us to a game 3 here between both of our Masters top 8 players. Here on the stream, you couldn't have chalked it up better than this, Pablo. I'm excited to get into this. I'm excited to hear from the chat what they're thinking after that second game. And going into this third, Pablo, it all comes down to this. I mean, this is the difference between maybe you have a good start and your opponent does not, and you're in top 4 suddenly.
Yeah, pretty much. And there's $2,000 difference at least between top 8 and top 4, and we could be seeing the future champion as well, right, in this match. So a lot to play for, and it all comes down to this game 3, where it'll be interesting to see whether Aidan chooses to go first or second. Roaring Moon usually prefers to go second, so that could weigh into Aidan's mind for the decision. Now, the Squawkabilly and the Mew being priced could be problematic, along with those double Mirage Gates.
Wow, yeah, double Mirage Gate. The Colress's experiment can't seem to stay out of the prize cards for Aidan either. Luckily, it is that card on the bottom there. Aidan threw hands up, looked super defeated there. Did I miss something, Pablo? I don't know.
No, I don't think so, right? Like, he has a
He
battle
looked
VIP
very
pass,
upset
so.
just now, so I don't know. I don't know if I missed something, but Kamal's going now, and that Morpeko is starting us off here in the active position for Kamal. Radiant Greninja using concealed cards here as well.
Yeah, I'm guessing Aidan chose for Kamal to go first. Kamal off to a decent start. We'll be able to potentially attach to the Morpeko now. Because Kamal is going first, and Morpeko is vulnerable to a Cramorant KO, so not sure how much you want to commit to that, really. We see the color in Moltres V, and we see a pass, so very underwhelming turn for Kamal here.
Yeah.
As we're going to see Aidan, no Colress in hand, but does have that Battle VIP pass to start off. So if he was upset, I have no idea what he was upset about.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that too, but Aidan starting us off here. First turn, Battle VIP pass, already collecting these Pokemon to bring out on to the field. What do you think about the Jirachi start, Pablo?
I mean, definitely pretty unfortunate. It's pretty much like a paperweight. It's just not useful at all in this matchup.
Oof.
Does have double Comfey available, does have Greninja, just making sure which energies are available or not, as we mentioned, how crucial it is to have all that information in this, with this deck especially.
Yep, and you're going to see that information being notated here from Aidan Khus as we take a look through the deck, count all these energy up. Radiant Greninja, Comfey going to join the field here. Maybe that's what Aidan was mad about. Oh, Jirachi?
Yeah, possibly.
Hey, I mean, when everything is on the line here, one of these players could potentially be our regional champion here in Knoxville. Every little thing matters. Both these players need to hone in, stay focused, and follow their game plans to a route to victory here. 30 minutes still left on the clock. Plenty of time, especially at the pace we've seen so far from these players. Switch cart into our Comfey, out of that Jirachi. Pokestop going to go into the Lost Zone here, off that Flower Selecting.
And then flying through his turn, flying through his actions, which makes sense. I think we do have extra time for top 8 matches, 75 minutes total, but both of the first 2 games did take a decent amount, and Aidan not off to a fantastic start. Only 1 card in the Lost Zone with double Comfey, and Kamal in prime position to potentially start the aggression and start that 6-turn counter to take 6 prizes against a single price deck.
Well, we'll see if the cards fall in Kamal's favor again. Let's see if these turns end up as smooth as they have before. I feel as though Roaring Moon EX decks do play a lot of consistency cards in a way.
Yep.
Some things can get clunky, but I mean, you have the trekking shoes, you have Pokestop as well. There seems to be a lot of cards that can kind of get you through your deck, get you into the cards you need. And there's sort of a minimal setup in a way with Roaring Moon EX decks as well, where it's almost feels more simplistic when you're setting up. And like you said, Pablo, if you're getting into a state where you can just start taking knockouts, that's all you're going to focus on, especially in the early game, applying that pressure, getting your board set up, and then pretty much chilling from there.
Yeah, that's certainly one of the appeals of this deck, right? We're seeing how much Aidan is having to work to like find attackers and piece out some of those energies into play to be able to take knockouts.
Recycle things, yeah,
exactly. Whereas Kamal is just like, all right, dark patch, KO, right? So it's a much simpler deck in that regard, right, in terms of their requirements. However, definitely not an easy deck to play with. And now Kamal's hand a little clogged with too many supporters in hand, so some heavy losses, which Aidan doesn't play any disruption cards, or the one that they do play, usually Roxanne, is for the very late game, so you don't mind that too much, as long as you can get started, right? But if you go research into a bunch of battle VIP passes and a few energies, and then everything's halted from there, that could be problematic for Kamal here.
Yeah, potentially. I guess that's where things could get a little sticky, but whoops. That is not a stadium.
Nope.
Town Store is, though, and Kamal is going to play that Town Store here to search out a tool card, a familiar tool card in that 4 Seal Stone. Galarian Moltres V already on board here to accept the Seal Stone.
And easier to pronounce tool card.
Yeah, for real. And the Seal Stone will be able to be played as well if Kamal chooses to do so, to search out a card. But
oh my gosh!
Stop, Pablo! I did not just see that.
Cards now gone. That is crazy. I feel like, as Kamal, you've seen the Mawile be revealed last turn. I don't think you can afford this. I think a much cleaner play would have been to just go Judge, power up onto a Moltres, see what you get, and then hope for an energy attach, and then just take the knockout with Moltres. That escape, oh my gosh, the escape run switch card in the discard ball is so huge for Kamal.
I am living my life in fear as of now. As soon as I saw those 2 cards, I am scared right now, Pablo. I'm real scared. And I'm sure Aidan is well aware of those discards as well. We've played 2 matches between these players already. Aidan, I'm sure, has been keeping track of resources so far. And maybe those 2 cards going to the discard pile means that's some educated guesses potentially for Aidan in the future. We're flying through these turns now. Kamal gonna take that knockout, go down a prize card, but Aidan is stacking all these cards now into the lost zone here. We're up to 4, and that Colress's Experiment is awesome to have for Aidan as well. So many cards in the hand. What are we working with, Pablo?
So that Colress was found off the top from the Comfey, and the Mowile's already in the hand. The Judge is in the discard pile. Aidan doesn't know it, but Iono is also not available. So with those 2 switching cards gone, I feel like that just opened up a huge door for Aidan to just go with the Mawile. I feel like you maybe could have afforded to do that if the Greninja and the Morpeko were not in play, but because those 2 Pokemon are liabilities right there, that could be very, very problematic. And now Aidan has 2 routes to victory. Either the Kyogre play, right, after taking perhaps 2 knockouts on Greninja and Morpeko with Sableye, and then into the Kyogre, or just the Mawile. I really think the Tempting Trap will be Aidan's best win condition at this point in time.
Well, we'll see if that's the way things pan out, Pablo, but that is definitely a huge potential here that's on board. Cramorant going to spit innocently on to this Radiant Greninja for 110 damage now that the Lost Zone is up to 4, unlocking that Lost Provisions ability. And now Kamal's starting us off with a Trekking Shoes.
That's funny that off the escape rope, the Greninja itself came up to the active spot, which could easily be Tempting Trapped this previous turn, and that could have been it, right? So we'll have to see what happens. Kamal definitely needs to factor that into his win condition, or into how he's going to win this. He needs to be very aware of Aidan's threats.
Absolutely, yeah. You have to make sure you're well aware of all of the possibilities. We've talked all weekend. Ooh, an energy going to the discard pile, but trekking shoes and a dark patch, I think, being picked up by Kamal.
It was energy switch.
Oh,
Yeah.
energy switch. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. But yeah, you have to make sure that you're preparing for the worst. We said that all weekend long, and especially, I mean, you're in top 8 right now. You have to super prepare yourself at this point in time to line up every single out possible, and I'm interested to see where the rest of this game goes. Roaring Moon EX coming up into the active position after that retreat from the Radiant Greninja. Of course, the one that is buffed right now, boosted up with some HP. Professor Sada Vitality attaching an energy here onto this Roaring Moon EX, or I should say dual Roaring Moon EX on the bench.
Yeah, not bad. That Professor Sada's Vitality is such a powerful supporter. 3 cards sometimes feels a little underwhelming, and that's why this deck balances between Professor's Research and Professor Sada's Vitality, but still pretty crucial to the deck. You don't need to do it every single turn, as we had seen from previous Roaring Moon deck lists, which were that was probably the reason why they were not succeeding as much. Yeah, they were relying too much on this card, which has like previous requirements for it to even draw or do anything, and then it's only 3 cards. But this balance between Research and Vitality, as long as you Vitality once per game, that's usually gonna be enough.
Yeah, I love to see it. It gives you that extra draw and, of course, the energy acceleration. Any card that energy accelerates is usually pretty solid.
I think we're about to see the Mawal trap here. I really think we're about to see the Mawal trap happen.
Stop.
That switch card and escape rope that Kamal discarded could be problematic.
I'm in pain. The pickup of the Mawile, reading the card. I'm scared here.
Yeah, no. Ooh, this is gonna be a little tough. There's the boss.
Please tell me I'm missing something in this list.
I just see one escape rope, one switch card, nothing else can heal. There's no way to damage that Greninja to KO it. It's all we're about to see 22 minutes of tempting trap.
No, Pablo.
Yep.
I'm so sad right now.
Number 1.
I'm genuinely so sad. Like, for Roaring Moon to go out like this, it's not fair. It's not fair.
Can we get a tempting trap counter next to the lost zone counter, please?
Yeah, we need it. Oh my gosh. We need a, yeah, look at this. Aidan is explaining you need a switch. And Kamal, oh my gosh.
Draw.
I'm sad.
Nope. No pass.
No, Kamal's looking at the discard. Oh no, I discarded both my switch cards. Both my switch cards.
A pretty big mistake from Kamal. He had seen the tempting trap the previous game.
Well, that's why I'm wondering if Kamal had picked up that card and read it the last game, like, would things have gone differently here?
Yeah, I mean, maybe he just played the escape rope, got out of it, didn't bother checking.
Exactly.
But I don't know. I feel like if you're in the top 8 of a regional championship, you need to be aware of what Mawal does, right?
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, we just saw on stream as well, multiple times this weekend. I mean, I guess Kamal probably not paying attention to the stream if you're playing matches, but yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe not have run into it, but Tempting Trap is locking this Radiant Greninja in the active position right now, and Kamal needs a switch card to get out of it because you cannot retreat out of it. So Aidan just playing things down at this point.
Yeah, so I think there's this factor of the unknown that we were talking about.
Yes.
Kamal did not pick up his cards as soon as he got trapped, right? Even though he knows that he has no switching cards left. Aidan doesn't know that. And therefore, Aidan must be a little on edge and like, okay, so why is this person not conceding? What are they planning on, right? And that's why we see Aidan still do actions. He might just be setting up for the Kyogre turn, right? Assuming, like, knowing your opponent, okay, your opponent either has a switching card or is planning to run you out of cards in their deck. Them as well, they might have Iono to recycle, and therefore, if they go to time and Kamal hasn't decked out, Kamal actually wins because he's ahead on prizes. Therefore, as long as Aidan goes Counter Catcher, KO Roaring Moon with Dragonite into the perfect draw with Kyogre to take 4 prizes, that's going to be enough to close out the game, right? So we'll have to see how this plays out because Aidan is doing more actions, is making sure that he has that potential Kyogre play available to him.
Yeah, so definitely it's still playing to all of the outs here, which is exactly what you want to be doing if you're Aidan Khus at this moment in time. But still, the trap was tempting, and the trap has been initiated, and that's where we're rolling with right now here for Aidan. It's a sticky situation to be in, and I'm sure Kamal feels very defeated right now because of that. Such a sad way for things to play out here, but Aidan, hey, I mean, that's a win condition, Pablo.
That is definitely a win condition, and yeah, I don't know how many cards are left in the deck. It doesn't look like too many. There's definitely way more over here, and there's the Pigeon V. That Vanishing Wings makes sure that Aidan will never deck himself out.
Yep, never gonna deck out. Still gonna keep going here. Kamal's gonna take a look at Aidan's discard pile. Maybe just trying to find some sort of outs here, but yeah, Aidan may have just done it here with this Mawile.
Yep,
oh, to Grant Manley here on the
Oh,
stream.
to Grant Manley, indeed. Now, there are 19 minutes left here, so... I mean, there is an Iono that can recycle. There might be a Palpad as well available that can recycle both the Judge and the Iono, so...
I gotta say, though, the adrenaline must be running here for Aidan.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you just feel you are one step closer into top 4, into potentially the finals, and potentially being a regional champion. Thanks to this nice, cute little Mawile.
Now, there's one card left in the deck. If Kamal's plan was to run down, like, the clock and make sure that he was ahead in the prize cards, he's been playing down cards, right? He's been playing down Forge Seal Stone, he's been attaching energy, so that's quite literally less turns for him to be able to, like, buy himself time to win, buy prizes. So we'll have to see what ends up happening here. Drawing 4 off the Iono, passing Aidan. Draw pass, well, not draw passing, tempting trap. Yeah, how many tempting traps have we seen? Like 10, 12, more or less, maybe.
It's been a lot.
It's been a lot for sure.
The trap is very tempting at this point in time, Pablo.
All right, I just like either Aidan commits to the Kyogre play, to the perfect Kyogre play over the course of 2 turns, or, all right, Vanishing Wings, immediately benched back to the deck and pass.
I'm just sad, Pablo.
I know.
I'm genuinely sad. I'm mourning Roaring Moon right now. I was rooting for it.
Well, there's another Roaring Moon in the bracket, right?
I know, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know how the bracket has shaped up so far, but still, what I'm seeing play out is just, it's sad. It's a sad way for Roaring Moon to go potentially, but we'll see. I mean, we're still playing this game out, Pablo.
Yep, I think Kamal just asked how much time is left on the clock. Draw passes. Aidan draws tempting traps and passes. Kamal draw passes.
The win condition's the prize cards, so.
Yep, but I don't think like 16 minutes should be enough for Kamal to deck out.
Exactly. Yeah, there's just no way. If we're passing back and forth like this, yeah, that's exactly what Aidan's doing. The expression on Aidan's face, I think Aidan knows now. He's giving a thumbs up here to the crowd. Yeah. Tempting trap. Yeah, now we're,
and
it's a lot here.
This all comes down to the Escape Rope and Switch card that were discarded on the very first turn. If Kamal had just like played it a little bit cooler, right?
Yes, exactly. That's what makes it sting even more, Pablo. They literally went to the discard at the same time.
Yeah, of the same Ultra Ball. Exactly. When we could have been like a little more passive, just Judge, find 1 energy, attack with a Galarian Ultra V. That's more than
look at
good
this.
enough.
Ooh. Dragonite is up in the active right now.
We see the boss and we see the Palpad putting back.
Oh.
All right, so Kamal did have a plan. As it seems like we are getting a 4-minute time extension. All right. Palpad back, boss and Iono. Could be boss, could be Iono and Judge. All right. This is a very, very precarious situation right here, but it seems like Kamal will be able to finally attach retreat? No, he went pause, can switch out. The Mowal gets tempting, trapped again.
Oh my gosh, Pablo.
Pause. Finds, I don't know if it was a boss or the Iono.
I think my dreams tonight is just going to be tempting trap. Tempting trap. Going to be replaying in my head for the rest of my life.
And that's fine. We do not have a 4-minute time extension for this match. It was for a different match.
Yeah, we're paying attention to a lot.
Yeah,
back
there's
here.
a lot happening here behind the scenes.
Please tell me we don't have a 4-minute time extension.
All right. We do see a judge which does shuffle a lot of resources. Now, I'm really questioning, like, in the end, if the only way you can win this match is through the being ahead in prizes win condition, right? That means you need as many turns as possible right here. So every card that Kamal has played down after he got trapped means it's one less turn you have. And that was your plan all along. You needed to put back Judge and Iono. As see a tempting trap, just Aidan immediately drawing and saying, draw tempting trap. He's probably just saying trap, not even tempting
exactly.
Trap.
Just trap.
Yeah.
Trap again. Honestly, if you're tuning into the stream right now, you're probably like so confused as to what's going on. If you've never watched Pokemon before, this is a bit odd looking for sure. But that Mawile putting in some work here, tempting
all about
trap.
This card.
Yes, all about it right now. This is the MVP here for Aidan Khus at this moment in time. And the fact that Kamal does not have a way to switch out, cannot retreat this Radiant Greninja due to the tempting trap blocking the retreats, and the Radiant Greninja cannot attack either. There's no water energy. There's no, I can't do anything.
Yeah, we were talking about the adaptations that you needed to make in order to, like, with information, right? I think after you see the Mawile on game 2, the adaptation you need to make is try to avoid benching Greninja, conserve your switching cards, and we saw just the opposite, right? We saw Greninja immediately hit the board, and the 2 switching cards immediately hit the discard pile.
And honestly, thinking back to the board states before this, like 20 turns ago, pretty much, I mean, Kamal was like chilling, pretty set up as well. I don't think it had to be extended so far, especially if you're considering, okay, these are my only 2 switch cards and I'm discarding them now.
Yeah,
but
I think it might have been a little bit of a tunnel vision of this is a Roaring Moon EX deck, therefore I want to attack with Roaring Moon ASAP, right? But Galarian Moltres V is just as good as an attacker in the beginning against this Lost Box deck, right? Nothing can take a hit other than the Dragonite, but Galarian Moltres V can also power itself up with Dire Flame Wing. So all that needed to happen was power up, right? Draw 1 energy off the Judge, and as we see the handshake, Aidan walking away with the win, having successfully trapped his opponent.
Incredible. Aidan Khus trapping his way into a top 4 slot here. I'm sure feeling great.